Okay, fifth grade, we're going to start with decimals and fractions. So with this one, I decided to do the notes with you guys. If it helps, you probably want to watch the video first, and then you can go back and take your notes because I want to make sure that you're following along. So we're going to start with lesson 4, which is decimals and fractions. And one of the things that we are going to talk about are rational numbers. So we've talked about integers, and now we're going to discuss rational numbers. So rational numbers is any number that can be written as a fraction. And so we're going to do some examples, okay? So I'm going to look at this number here. So that is 6/10. And I know this because if I look back to my notes, whenever I did, I don't have them in here, but my notes that I had from the beginning where I have the place value chart, I can see how I know that the 6 is located in the 10th spot. So whenever I say this word, I can write it as 6/10. Okay. Now, one of the cool things about decimals is whenever you write them as fractions, you write them the way they sound. Okay. So what I mean by if this is 6/10, then I'm going to write that just the way it sounds. So 6/10 as a fraction is 6/10 or 6/10. Okay, so we talked about greatest common factor already. And one of the reasons why we talked about greatest common factor is because whenever we simplify fractions here, so if I look at 6 and 10, I can think about the factors and the greatest common factor that 6 and 10 share. Once I find out what that greatest common factor is, I can divide it by that greatest common factor. Well, I know that 6 and 10 share the factors 1 and 2, and that's it. So the greatest common factor that they share is 2. So I can divide both of those by 2. And when I divide both of those by 2, how many groups of 2 are in 6? That is 3. How many groups of 2 are in 10? That is 5. So I was able to divide by finding the greatest common factor, and I was able to simplify my fraction. So this is 6/10. This is a simplified fraction. So I simplified 6/10. Okay, so that's what I did. So what I'm doing is I'm expressing decimals as fractions, and I'm writing them in their simplest form. So the next one I have, if I have 45 hundredths, I'm going to write 45 hundredths exactly how it sounds. 45 hundredths sounds like 45 over 100. That is 45 hundredths. So I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to see if I can simplify this fraction. So I'm going to think of the greatest common factors of 45 and 100. Well, I know that 45 and 100 share a factor of 5. So if I divide both numerator and the denominator by 5, how many groups of 5 are in 45? That is 9. How many groups of 5 are in 100? That is 20. So 45 hundredths, I simplified it to 9/12. And one of the reasons why I know it was 5 is because 45 ends in 5 and 100 ends in 0. So my only options there really are 10 and 5. And if it ends in 5 or 0, it has to at least be a 5. It can't be 10 because if I'm counting by tens, every time I skip out by 10, I'll never have a number that ends in 5. So that's why I used 5. You can use the same strategy we used yesterday. If you want to write all the factors of 45 and all of the factors of 100, you can do that as well, okay? So that's what we're doing today. We're writing rational, and we're writing decimals as fractions in their simplest form. So I'm going to put some examples for you guys that you can do for that.